3 laps, yeah. Just see if we can pound out 3 laps, you know. Except he's watering, so they might have to do kind of slow laps.
Yeah, earlier I was going pretty slow because it was sloppy everywhere. I'll try, but...
Even if I slow down, I want to stay out there for 3 laps, you know?
Yeah, I will.
Our plan is to just go for 3 laps, even if we have to slow down, just stay out there for 3.
Yeah, do that. It's a good idea.
What is going on, guys? It's DeeO here with Return of DeeO Gaming and real life riding, as you can see here on YouTube. That little change at the start, a lot of times when I go riding, I'll just hit sections. I mean, I'll do some laps when I first get there and throughout the day, but for the most part, I just kind of do 1 corner and 2 jumps or whatever and just goof around. So, trying to build up my stamina some, and maybe we'll see, do some races. And you got to start somewhere. So I was talking to Luke and my dad about just doing 3 laps. I ended up doing 5, which for me is pretty good. And I know you're probably like, wow, DeeO, I race for 20 plus 2 or 20 plus 1, whatever. But like I said, you got to start somewhere. Anyway, though, I was just going to do this video by itself with audio of the bike. But so many people wanted to hear my thoughts on the transition from 2-stroke to 4-stroke, and I've got a few rides on my belt now on my 450, and this weekend I actually rode my 125 for the first time again since having the 450, so I felt like this was a alright time to finally make this video for you guys and share my thoughts and feelings on it. And of course, as I'm sure you already know, I'm no expert or anything. These are all just my own thoughts, feelings, opinions, and everything, and could be completely different for every single person. So first off, a little background if you don't already know about me. I'm 24 and I've been riding since I was 3. I had, you know, a PW50, a KTM50, a KX60, a CR80, a KX85, and then my YZ125, and now the KX450, KX450, whatever. But so I have a lot of time on a bike, but the most time was spent on the YZ125. I got that bike in 2005. It was a 03 model. I was the second owner of it, and you know, I rode that bike up until now, until my last ride on it before this weekend was in July of 2014. So, you know, 9 years I spent on that one dirt bike, so I have quite a bit of time on that, and it really was home. That bike is what I know, it's what I was used to. Everything on that bike I had just dialed how I wanted it. I loved how it handled, how it rode, everything about it, even if, you know, of course I wasn't the fastest rider or anything on it. Then, when I wanted to transition to a 450, people were saying, you know, the Yamahas are wide, the Hondas stink bug, this, that, whatever. For me, no matter what bike I got, it was going to be different. I could get a 450 that was the slowest thing on the market, and it'd be way faster than I could have ever imagined the 125. I could get a YZ or a YZF, sorry, I don't know my 4-stroke terminology yet, but get the Yamaha 450 that everyone said was wide a few years ago, and you know, it'd be totally new to me. I would adapt to whatever it was. This KX just kind of fell into our laps, quite literally. Got a great price, couldn't pass it up, and I've rode a KX450 before, so we hopped on it. And right off the bat, you know, everyone says it, it's obvious, the weight of the bike is so much greater than the 125. That's the first thing you notice when you get on it. Putting it up on the stand, pushing it up and down the ramp when you need to load it into the back of your pickup truck or your trailer or however you do it, the bike is amazingly heavier, incredibly heavier, and that may play a factor into a lot of people who, you know, are 140 pounds, 160 pounds even. But me, I weigh in about 185 to 190 depending on what time of the day you weigh me. Yes, this bike weighs a lot, but I weigh a lot. It's not like I'm some little shrimp on there who can't hold on, you know, some 14-year-old kid who's 110 pounds. The weight of the bike feels right. It feels proportionate to what I want. And so hopping on the 450, it was just, you know, it was heavy, but it also had the power that the heaviness didn't seem that bad, you know. My biggest struggle was actually a jump on this track. I'll mention it when it comes up, but I was having trouble braking and making the corner because it's a downhill, well, you'll see it, but it's a tabletop into a downhill right hand. And at first I couldn't figure out how to, I mean, I knew what to do, I just couldn't make it happen, how to get on the brakes early enough and get this tank of a machine into the corner. Now it's no problem, you know, a few rides under my belt. It's going to be after this left hand, this tabletop into the right is the section I'm talking about. But that was one big thing. But what helps with the 4-stroke in that is your engine braking. And now, like I said, the weight is probably what most people think. To me, the engine braking, that's the biggest difference. Absolutely, positively, the biggest difference is On a two-stroke, oh, I can't believe how bad I cased that. I'll go more into that later. You let off the gas and you coast. The bike, it keeps on rolling, you know, it doesn't really slow itself down. It has its momentum. I think it's, what is it, kinetic energy already going, and it's just going to keep rolling. Yes, it's not going to roll forever. You're going to slow down due to friction and everything else in the world, but the engine isn't actively slowing down the dirt bike. So even cruising through the pits, you're just sitting there in first gear, just blipping it here and there, you know, getting from one side of the track to the other, or getting back to your pit. On a 4-stroke, that doesn't happen. You land a jump and you downshift into first, and you almost get thrown into the bars. And I know the engine braking's nowhere near as bad as, or good, bad, however you want to phrase it. It's not as powerful as it used to be. So I can't even imagine riding one of the older 4-strokes. But for me, hopping back onto the 125, it's like, if you watch my video, which you probably should have, but the first time I go into a corner pretty hot, I pop up on screen and I say, whoa, no engine brake, and I even say it out loud as I'm riding. I'm like, whoa, because I went into the corner way too hot, expecting the bike to slow itself down. I wasn't as hard on the brakes, and the 2-stroke doesn't do that. The 4-stroke does. So you get back on the 4-stroke, and riding through the pits is, you notice it on the track, but riding through the pits, it's like you have to work the bike to get anywhere. You have to keep giving it gas or keep it just above an idle so that you're not just slowing down and stopping. And to me, that's just the wildest thing. That's really the biggest difference between the two. And then besides that, for me, I'm still learning how to ride the 4-stroke. Far too often I find myself grabbing first gear and clutching through a corner and trying to scream it, then upshift. And like on this track, you have the right-hander into the big camelback. And a lot of times I was having trouble clearing that. I think in these few laps I was having some trouble. And later in the day, my friend Brett, who's on the 125 in my other video, he helped me out and he's like, hey man, upshift, stay smoother, use that bottom end power. Helped tremendously. Rolling the corner in second, just blipping the throttle and then using that bottom end grunt, and it just throws you everywhere you need to go. So that's another big adjustment for me, is kind of riding up a gear, and what would be bogging it on the 2-stroke is making the power on the 4-stroke. So a lot of it's just overcoming how you think about it and how you use the bike. And I could be wrong, but I think I'm pretty good about not using the clutch as much on the 4-stroke. You know, a lot of people say if you ride a 2-stroke, then you go to the 4-stroke, you just abuse the clutch. And you can see, like right now, my finger's on the clutch. I always have my finger on the clutch, but I'm not using it every corner. I'm not using it to build up power. It's just there to stab it when I do need it. And I still do use it. I don't know if I shouldn't be, but I do still use it. Really though, to me, those are the differences. On the 4-stroke, you have an engine brake. You need to ride up a gear and use more bottom end power, and not use the clutch as much. And keep your momentum going into a corner, because you can't just coast into a corner. You're going to get there way too slow. On the 2-stroke, no engine brake, you can run in a lot faster, and you need to keep the RPMs going and keep it screaming. The 4-stroke is like you can take a corner nice and easy like that and then just gas it, and the 2-stroke, you have to really be railing it and keep your momentum going. And then of course on the 2-stroke, stay out of the deep sand. You're not going anywhere on that bad boy. You saw it in my other video, got in the sand, got completely blown past by Brett. The 125 just does not want to go. So of course we all knew that, though. The 4-stroke has so much more power, and obviously a 450cc engine is going to make quite a bit more power than a 125cc engine. And like I said, I'm no expert. You might feel completely different, but that's just my experience. And to me, riding the 4-stroke has made me a better 125 rider. I don't know how that's possible, but I feel like my corner speed was better. I was able to hit better lines. And when I hopped on the 125, it took about half a lap for me to feel comfortable on it again, but I felt comfortable, and I honestly felt kind of fast on it. Maybe I wasn't, but that's how I felt. So all in all though, honestly, they're both amazing bikes, and they always have their pros and cons. And a lot of people love the 2-strokes but won't even ride one themselves, and some people even on my YouTube were saying it was lame that I got a 4-stroke because it's cool to keep the 2-stroke alive. Well, why not have the best of both worlds? If I want to ride the 125, I can. If I want to ride the 450, I can. It's wonderful, and I know not everyone's as grateful as I don't know, lucky as I am to be able to have both bikes. And to people who have commented and said, I thought you couldn't afford a 450, my parents bought it. 100% my parents bought it. I'm paying them back in very small increments as I can, as I don't make that much money. But Like I said, we had the great deal. They jumped on it. They wanted me to be happy, and that's what awesome parents do. So if you have an issue with me having a bike because I said I had no money, well, I still don't have any money. So I did mention I was going to talk about casing this upcoming triple here. I was talking to my buddy Luke, MX Nation. You guys may have remembered him from that crash video, but you have such a long run between here and that takeoff. It gives you way too much time to second guess. You come up and you're like, okay, I'm going a little bit too fast, then you let off and you case it. Or you come up and you're like, oh, I'm going a little too slow, I need to give it a little more gas, and you over jump it. And honestly, that jump's pretty terrible. It has such a small landing, very small margin of error for you, but I think that's why I cased it so bad that one lap, and maybe even a little bit that last lap. But you come up and you have way too much second time to second guess yourself. When a jump is a lot more abrupt, it's just like, okay, I'm hitting this, and it's more second nature, you just hit it. That jump, you're coming up to it and everything's running through your mind, and then you end up letting off and casing the shit out of it. Not really going to talk about it yet, but I did have my first ride in the Garnier boots. Still don't know how to say that. And absolutely love them. So sick, so comfortable. I'll have a more comprehensive review coming up on that later. Thank you guys so much for watching though. I hope you did enjoy this and enjoy all my real life riding videos. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Leave a like if you liked it, and tell me your thoughts between 2 versus 4 strokes, and your thoughts and feelings. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take it easy. If it's easy, take it twice. I'll talk to you later.